I thought surviving the Roman arena made me strong. Every victory brought cheers, gold, and another day of life. But behind those cheers hid a brutal secret no one dared to speak about. When I recognized one of the captives, a woman from my past, everything I believed about honor shattered. The rituals we performed weren't just entertainment. They were symbols of Rome's cruelty and power. In that moment, I faced an impossible choice: stay silent and survive, or expose the truth and risk death. This is the story of the day a gladiator stopped fighting for Rome and started fighting for justice. Cross swords fire. My name is Cassian, and the arena has owned my life for 7 years. I survived by doing what the crowd demanded. Win the fight. Spill the blood. Smile when they cheer. I used to think survival was enough. Today proved how wrong I was. My opponent collapsed in the sand, clutching his chest. Blood spread across the arena floor. The crowd roared. "Finish him," someone shouted. I raised my sword, breathing hard. The man looked up at me with fear. "Please," he whispered. I lowered my voice. "I'm sorry." The blade fell. The arena exploded with cheers. Thousands of voices echoed through the stone walls. The smell of blood and dust filled my lungs while the sun burned above us. I lifted my head toward the noble seats. Golden armor flashed in the light. Roman officials sat comfortably, watching us like we were animals in a cage. Titus walked up beside me, wiping sweat from his beard. "Another victory," he said with a grin. "You're unstoppable today." I shook my head. "Victory doesn't feel like victory anymore." He laughed loudly. "Listen to you. The crowd loves you. That's what matters." A deep horn sounded across the arena. Titus groaned. "Ah, here it comes." I felt my stomach tighten. The gates opened. A line of female captives stepped into the arena. Their hands were chained. Their faces carried fear, anger, or empty silence. The crowd grew louder. "Ritual. Ritual. Ritual." I looked away, but Marcus Varro's voice cut through the noise. "Cassian." I turned. The arena master stood beside the gate, wearing polished armor and a calm smile. "Step forward," Marcus ordered. I walked toward him slowly. He leaned close and spoke quietly near my ear. "Win well today, Cassian, and remember who owns your life." I clenched my fists but nodded. "Yes, master." Marcus smiled and stepped back. "Begin the victory ceremony." The crowd screamed with excitement. Titus nudged my shoulder. "Don't look so serious. It's just part of the show." "Does it ever bother you?" I asked. "Bother me?" he laughed. "Cassian, this is Rome. The crowd wants blood and power. We give it to them." I looked toward the captives again. Most avoided my eyes. One didn't. A young woman stood in the center of the line. Her dark hair fell across her shoulders. Chains hung from her wrists. But her eyes, they were not afraid. They were burning with anger. She stared directly at me. I felt something twist inside my chest. I stepped closer to the group. Titus whispered behind me. "Pick one and finish the ritual so we can drink tonight." But the woman kept staring. Then her expression changed. Not anger. Recognition. My heart skipped. She whispered something so softly I almost missed it. "Cassian." I froze. My name. No captive should know my name. I stared at her, trying to understand. Her eyes widened slowly, as if she had just confirmed a terrible truth. In that moment I realized something chilling. She recognized me. And somehow, I felt like I should recognize her too. The gates of the arena closed behind us, but the crowd outside kept celebrating. Music echoed through the streets. People laughed and drank. Rome loved a good victory. Inside the gladiator barracks, the mood felt different. I sat on a wooden bench, staring at the floor while the sounds of celebration faded into the distance. Titus dropped beside me with a loud sigh. "Well," he said, clapping my shoulder, "another day, another pile of bodies." I didn't answer. He leaned closer. "What was that hesitation out there?" "What hesitation?" I muttered. "You froze," Titus said. "Right in front of the captives." "I didn't freeze." "You did." I looked at him. Titus smirked. "You're getting soft, Cassian. Soft men die here." "I won the fight." "That's not the point." "What is the point then?" "The point," he said, lowering his voice, "is that the arena only respects strength. Feelings get men killed." I stood up. "I need air." "Or maybe you need courage," Titus laughed behind me. I ignored him and walked toward the corridor. Near the entrance stood a tall gladiator leaning against the wall. He had gray in his beard and scars across his arms. "Darius." He watched everything but spoke very little. He nodded once at me. "Good fight," he said quietly. Thanks. You hesitated, he added. Everyone noticed? Yes. Do you think I'm getting weak? Darius crossed his arms. No, he said. I think you're starting to see clearly. Before I could answer, a guard shouted my name. Cassian. Marcus wants you. I walked toward the courtyard where Marcus Vero waited. He stood beside a group of chained captives. Perfect timing, Marcus said. Escort these women to the holding cells. Yes, master. The captives began walking forward. Then I saw her again. The woman from the arena. Our eyes met instantly. Marcus turned toward me. Problem? No, I said quickly. Good. Move them. I walked behind the captives as we entered the stone hallway beneath the arena. The torches flickered against the walls. Chains rattled softly with each step. Then I heard a whisper. Cassian. I stopped walking. The guards ahead didn't notice. I stepped closer to the woman. Do I know you? I whispered. She stared at me, disbelief in her eyes. Cassian, you really don't remember me? My chest tightened. Should I? My name is Lyra. The name echoed in my mind. Lyra. She leaned closer. Our villages traded along the northern frontier, she said softly. You came with your father once. A memory surfaced slowly. A dusty road. A small market. A girl handing me a cup of water. You, I whispered. Yes, she said. I looked at the chains on her wrists. You're a prisoner now, I said quietly. And you're Rome's champion, she replied. Her words felt like a blade. I didn't choose this life, I said. None of you chose Rome. We walked in silence for a moment. Then she spoke again. The rituals in the arena, do you know why they happen? For the crowd, I said. She shook her head. No. That's what they tell you. Then what is it? Her voice dropped lower. They're part of a secret tradition for powerful Romans. I frowned. What tradition? Dominance, she said. Humiliation of conquered people. Political alliances. That sounds like rumor. It's not rumor. How do you know? Because my people have seen it before. I felt unease spreading through my chest. So we're just part of their game? Yes. Footsteps echoed behind us. A calm voice spoke from the shadows. That's a dangerous conversation. My blood ran cold. Marcus Vero stepped into the torchlight, smiling. Morning arrived too quickly. I stepped into the training yard, gripping my sword while the other gladiators sparred around me. Cassian. Marcus Vero's voice cut through the air. I turned slowly. He stood near the gate, hands behind his back, smiling in that calm, cold way that made my stomach tighten. Walk with me, he said. I followed him along the stone wall. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then he stopped. You're asking questions you shouldn't ask, Marcus said quietly. I don't know what you mean. You spoke with the captive last night. My pulse quickened. We exchanged a few words. Marcus tilted his head slightly. You are a gladiator, Cassian. Not a philosopher. I know my place. Do you? His eyes studied me carefully. Because men who forget their place tend to disappear. I lowered my gaze. It won't happen again. Marcus smiled faintly. I hope not. He walked away without another word. I stayed there staring at the sand. Something about the arena felt different now. Once you see cracks in a wall, you start noticing every fracture. Later that day, Titus joined me in the stands overlooking the arena floor. Look down there, he said, pointing toward the noble seating area. What about it? You notice how certain senators only show up on certain days? I frowned. You pay attention to that? Of course, he said. Rich men bring rich bets. I watched the empty seats. Why do they only come to specific matches? Titus shrugged. Who cares? They pay. But I cared now. That night I escorted food to the captive cells. Lyra sat against the wall, chains still around her wrists. When she saw me, she leaned forward. You spoke to Marcus today, she whispered. How do you know? Guards talk. I crouched beside the bars. Tell me something, I said quietly. The rituals, what are they really? Her eyes darkened. They're symbols. Symbols of what? Roman domination. I frowned. That sounds like propaganda. No, she said firmly. It's politics. How? When Rome conquers a people, she explained, the nobles display captives during gladiator victories. For entertainment. For power, she corrected. I stayed silent. She continued. Important senators attend. Deals are made. Alliances are strengthened. And the captives? They represent defeated nations. My stomach twisted. So when the crowd cheers, they're cheering humiliation. I stood slowly, feeling sick. I've been part of this. Yes. I left the cells and walked into the training yard. Darius sat sharpening his blade. You look troubled, he said. I just learned what the rituals really are. He nodded. Then you're finally seeing the truth. You knew. Of course. Why didn't you say anything? Darius looked at me calmly. You think you're the only one who hates this? Then why stay silent? He held up his sword. Because the arena survives on silence. I sat beside him. What happens if someone speaks? They die. He wiped the blade with a cloth. Marcus reports directly to Senator Lucius Marcellus. The noble in the golden balcony? Yes. I felt anger rising in my chest. This entire arena is built on cruelty. Rome is built on cruelty, Darius replied. Later that evening Helena the healer treated my wounds. She lowered her voice while wrapping my arm. You spoke with the captive girl. Yes. She's injured, Helena said softly. I gave her medicine. Why help her? Helena looked around before answering. Because I hate what happens here. My thoughts felt heavier with every truth I learned. Fight and survive. Or fight the system and die. A horn suddenly echoed across the arena. Marcus stepped into the yard, raising his voice. Gladiators, prepare yourselves. We turned toward him. In 3 days, Marcus announced proudly, Rome will host a grand spectacle ordered by the emperor's court. Excited murmurs spread around us. Marcus continued. The final victory ritual will be unforgettable. My chest tightened. Then he smiled directly at me. And the captive named Lyra will be part of it. I found Darius alone in the training yard after sunset. I need your help, I said. He didn't look up from sharpening his blade. That usually means trouble. It is. He sighed. Say it. I'm going to help Lyra escape. The scraping of his blade stopped. That's suicide, he said. I know. You'll be hunted across the empire. I know. He finally looked at me. Why risk everything? Because I can't keep pretending this place is normal. Darius studied my face. You're serious? Yes. He leaned back against the wall. There are tunnels under the arena, he said quietly. My heart jumped. You're willing to help? I didn't say willing, he muttered. I said they exist. That's enough. You'll need someone who knows the paths. I was hoping that someone was you. Darius rubbed his beard. You're dragging me into madness. Maybe, I said. But you hate this place too. He didn't answer for a moment. Finally he sighed. Fine. But if we die, I'm blaming you. Later that night I found Helena in the healer's room. She was grinding herbs in a bowl. Helena, I said quietly. She glanced at the door. Keep your voice down. I need information. About the tunnels? I stared at her. You already know? She gave a tired smile. Cassian, everyone whispers about escape at some point. Do the tunnels work? They lead outside the city walls, she said. That's perfect. Not exactly. Why? Most are sealed. Only one passage still opens. Where? Beneath the old animal cages. I nodded slowly. Thank you. Helena grabbed my arm. If Marcus discovers this plan, he'll kill you. I know. And Lyra. I know. She released my arm. Then moved carefully. I left the room and walked through the corridor. A voice suddenly stopped me. Planning something, Cassian? Titus stepped out from the shadows. My stomach tightened. How long have you been there? I asked. Long enough. He crossed his arms. Why risk your life for a captive? She isn't just a captive. That's exactly what she is. She's a human being. Titus laughed. This is the arena. Humanity doesn't survive here. I'm trying to change that. By escaping, he scoffed. You'll die before sunrise. Help us. He stared at me like I had lost my mind. You want me to betray Rome for one woman? I want you to help end this cruelty. Titus shook his head. Survival matters more than morality. You're better than that. No, he said firmly. I'm realistic. He stepped closer. Walk away from this plan. I can't. Then you're already dead. He turned and disappeared into the darkness. Later that night guards dragged me to Marcus's chamber. The doors slammed behind me. Marcus sat calmly at a table. Well, Cassian, he said. You've been busy. 2 guards pulled someone forward. Lyra. Chains rattled as they forced her to kneel. My chest tightened. "Let her go," I said. Marcus chuckled. "Did you really think a gladiator could outsmart Rome?" My eyes burned with anger. "Who told you?" Marcus smiled. "Titus is a loyal man." Betrayal hit me like a blade. Marcus stood and walked toward me. "You have two choices," he said. "I'm listening." "You will fight in the Emperor's grand spectacle." "And if I refuse?" Marcus gestured toward Lyra. "Then she dies tonight." Lyra looked up at me quietly. My fists trembled. "Cassian," she whispered. "I won't let them kill you." She shook her head. "Don't die for me." Marcus laughed softly. "How touching." Lyra leaned closer and whispered again. "Expose them instead." Her words ignited something inside me. Fear faded. Rage remained. Marcus clapped his hands. "Excellent," he said loudly. "Prepare yourself, Cassian." "For what?" He smiled widely. "Your next fight will be the most brutal spectacle Rome has ever seen." The day of the grand spectacle arrived faster than I expected. The arena roared with noise long before the gates opened. I stood beside Darius in the waiting corridor. "Look at them," I muttered. He peeked through the gate bars. Every seat filled. I exhaled slowly. Rome loves a show. Darius glanced at me. "You remember the plan?" "I remember." "You speak." "I start the chaos." "And Octavian?" "He's already moving guards away from the tunnel entrance." I nodded. "Helena?" I asked. "She's spreading word among the slaves." "Good." Darius looked at me carefully. "You still have time to back out." "No," I said firmly. "Not anymore." The horn sounded. A guard shouted, "Gladiators to the arena." The gates opened. Sunlight exploded across the sand as I stepped into the arena. Thousands of voices crashed over me. The stands were packed. Senators sat in golden balconies. Wealthy nobles laughed and drank wine. Above them all sat the emperor's envoy watching quietly. Marcus Varro stepped into the center of the arena. "Citizens of Rome," he shouted. The crowd cheered wildly. "Today we celebrate Rome's dominance over conquered tribes." More cheering. Marcus raised his arms. "Our greatest gladiator will fight for your glory." He pointed toward me. "Cassian." The crowd roared my name. I stepped forward. Across the sand stood my opponent. A massive gladiator with a heavy axe. He growled, "You're the famous one." "Unfortunately," I replied. The horn sounded again. We charged. His axe swung toward my shoulder. I dodged and struck his arm. Steel clashed again and again. He roared with anger. "You die today." "Not today," I said. I spun under his next swing and drove my sword into his chest. He collapsed onto the sand. The crowd exploded with excitement. "Cassian! Cassian! Cassian!" My chest heaved as I looked toward the stands. Marcus raised his hand. "Prepare the victory ritual." The gates opened. Captives were dragged into the arena. I saw Lyra among them. The crowd began chanting. "Ritual! Ritual! Ritual!" Marcus gestured toward me. "Begin." Instead, I bent down and grabbed my opponent's fallen sword. Marcus frowned. "Cassian," he called sharply. "Do it." I stepped forward and raised the sword high. But I didn't face the captives. I faced the crowd. "Listen to me," I shouted. The chanting slowly faded. "These rituals are not honor," I yelled. Confused murmurs spread through the stands. "They are cruelty hidden behind cheers." Marcus's face darkened. "Silence him," he ordered. I kept shouting. "You think this arena shows Rome's strength?" The crowd stared. "No. It shows Rome's fear." Guards rushed toward me. Suddenly Darius tackled one of them. Steel rang across the arena. "Now," he shouted. Octavian appeared near the captive gate, striking a guard with his spear. Chains began falling open. Captives started running. Some gladiators looked stunned. Others stepped forward beside me. Titus stood near the gate, frozen. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "Ending this." I answered. Marcus screamed from the balcony. "Archers!" Roman archers appeared along the walls. "Kill them!" Marcus roared. Arrows flew through the air. Gladiators raised shields. Darius slashed another guard and laughed wildly. "Finally," he shouted. "A real fight." Octavian unlocked more chains. "Go," he told the captives. "Run." Lyra rushed toward the open gate. Chaos exploded across the arena. Some gladiators attacked the guards. Others fled with the prisoners. The crowd panicked. Marcus kept shouting orders. Close the gates. Send soldiers. The arena doors burst open. Roman soldiers flooded inside. Darius stood beside me breathing hard. Well, he said with a grin. You wanted change. I looked at the battlefield around us. Screaming crowds. Fighting gladiators. Escaping prisoners. Marching soldiers. This, I said gripping my sword, is only the beginning. The arena no longer sounded like a celebration. It sounded like war. Steel clashed everywhere. Roman soldiers rushed through the gates while gladiators fought back with desperate fury. I pushed through the chaos, searching the sand. Lyra! I shouted. A soldier lunged at me. I blocked his strike and shoved him aside. Move! I growled. Another guard swung his spear. Darius appeared beside me and cut the man down. Keep moving, he barked. Lyra's near the gate, I said. Then go. I'm not leaving you. You're not staying either, he snapped. More soldiers rushed toward us. Darius stepped forward, raising his sword. I'll hold them. That's suicide, I said. He grinned at me. Everything we've done today is suicide. 3 soldiers charged him. Go. Darius roared. I hesitated. Cashin, he shouted again. I clenched my jaw and ran. Behind me I heard blades clashing. Darius laughed loudly. Come on, Romans, he shouted. Fight a real gladiator. I reached the captive gate. Octavian stood there, smashing chains with a hammer. Hurry, he called. Prisoners ran past him. Where's Lyra? I asked. He pointed behind me. Right there. Lyra pushed through the crowd, breathing hard. Her chains were gone. For a moment we just stared at each other. You're free, I said. Because of you, she replied. We're not safe yet. Suddenly the crowd above us erupted in panic. Nobles rushed toward the exits. I looked up. Marcus Varro stood on the balcony with Senator Lucius Marcellus. Marcus shouted orders while guards surrounded him. They're trying to escape, Lyra said. Not this time, I replied. I grabbed a sword and climbed the arena stairs. Marcus saw me coming. His eyes burned with fury. So the slave climbs the throne, he sneered. Lucius stepped back nervously. Marcus drew his sword. You were born a slave of the arena, he shouted. Maybe, I said. But today I choose what I fight for. He lunged at me. Our blades crashed together. Marcus fought with brutal strength. You ruined everything, he yelled. You ruined it yourself, I answered. He slashed toward my shoulder. I dodged and struck his arm. He stumbled back. This arena made you, he shouted. No, I said. It imprisoned me. Marcus attacked again. Steel rang loudly across the balcony. The crowd watched in stunned silence. He swung wildly. I stepped aside and drove my sword forward. The blade struck his chest. Marcus froze. His sword fell from his hand. You were nothing without Rome, he whispered. Maybe, I said quietly. But Rome needed lies to survive. Marcus collapsed to the stone floor. The arena fell silent. Senator Lucius stared at the body, pale and trembling. Below us, prisoners escaped through the gates. Soldiers retreated in confusion. Lyra stepped beside me on the balcony. It's over, she said softly. I looked across the arena. For the first time the crowd was silent. Rome's great spectacle had collapsed. And everyone had just witnessed the truth. The arena stayed silent after Marcus fell. No cheers. No horns. Just whispers spreading through the crowd. Lyra stood beside me on the balcony. Is it really over? She asked. For the arena, maybe, I said. Below us, captives rushed through the open gates. Octavian shouted to them, Go! Don't stop running. Some disappeared into the streets. Others fled toward the countryside beyond the city walls. Lyra looked down at the sand. So many people suffered here. I know, I said quietly. Later that night we walked through a narrow road outside Rome. Helena had given us supplies before we left. Stay alive, she told me. That's how you win. I nodded. Thank you for believing in us. Octavian opened the final gate and whispered, I never saw you. You risked everything, I said. Some truths are worth the risk, he replied. Now the city lights faded behind us. Lyra walked beside me in silence. What will you do now? She asked. I took a slow breath. For the first time in years, I said, I choose my own path. Rome taught me how to kill. But the arena taught me the price of silence.